Hey everybody, Dr. B here. Hopefully you enjoy this quick, unofficial episode of the Dr. B Show. Today I discuss empowering your future strategies for solo 401k and self-directed IRAs. Enjoy. Hey everybody, as you know, I'm Dr. B, Dr. Jairo Borja, and welcome to empowering your future strategies for solo 401k and self-directed IRAs, right? So I have a couple of folks that'll join, and if not, we will simply share the recording with them, right? So cool. All right, I'm gonna start right away in the interest of time. I know a couple of folks, um, you know, I can't penalize you guys for being here, right? So welcome to empowering your future strategies for solo 401k and self-directed IRA. I have my daughter here with me now. And it's been a long day, right? So just really quickly, as Warren Buffett says, save is to put your money to rest, and invest is putting your money to work, right? So welcome about that. Just quickly, this for informational purposes, we don't provide legal or professional advice. We introduce you to strategies, but they may not apply to your personal situation. So always speak to your team or professional before applying any of these, right? Today. So it's a little bit about that. So how is this everything from anything else that you've ever seen before? As I mentioned before my last webinar that I did a few weeks ago, I did use my solo 401k, and I invested my solo 401k into a 120 key hotel in Lake Charles, Louisiana. It was a very simple process, and we'll go more through that today. So essentially, I was able um, to open a solo 401k through a Broad Financial as a custodian, and thanks to that, I was able to then open up an account at a bank, and then once I got the money at the bank, then I was able to transfer the money over into the deal, right? So that's how I know this is different from anything else I've ever seen, right? So what's in it for you tonight? So with 100k that you have invested as an example, you will double your money in 5 years. You invest that money without doing anything, nothing, nada, as an example, right? So that's what's in it for you, right? So that's how I build my instant credibility and what's in it for you, right? So quick, for those who don't know me, most of you guys don't know me, but I do have over 20 years of experience in higher ed and financial services, right? I have an organization, as my daughter, she has bronchitis, bless her, training and development company, and I have a book and a course and a program on networking and lead gen and prospecting. I am an education consultant. I am the host of the Dr. B Show podcast. I'm a best-selling author and course creator, and I oversee programs for the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce here in New Jersey. I got my doctorate from Walden, and I invested passively on a deal in Louisiana, and I am under contract. It's a 52 unit, not a 41 unit, so I have to change that. And mentored by Amy Majuri, Sean McNichols, and then Mike Ely, and of course Mika Woy. So it's a little bit about me. So my business goals, just to give you a heads up, to own 100 units in 1218. I'm going to shatter that soon. Short-term and long-term notes, capital partner, write a second book, expand the Dr. B Show, and of course, my ultimate dream is to have a boutique hotel. It's a little bit about me and what are my goals in the next couple of months, right? So how do I know it's real? Because I know it is, because I just had a conversation. I literally was almost late to this webinar. I literally just had a weekly conversation with my mentors on a deal that we're working on in Southern Pines, which we'll go over in a minute, right? So I know it's real because I know Mike Ely. He has over 1,500 units, 4 hotels, 1 development in Sarasota, and the folks that I surround myself with, they're doing very well, right? And of course, I'm up and coming. I should be the next big thing, right? So that's how I know it's real, right? So I'm gonna jump right into it, right? So there's self-directed IRA and there's solo 401k, right? So an IRA, as you know, is an individual retirement account, right? That you open yourself, right? Um, 401k is an individual retirement account that, of course, that your employer sponsors sometimes. But we're gonna get into what a self-directed IRA is and a solo 401k, right? So self-directed IRA, according to Investoropia, excuse me, is an individual retirement account that can hold alternative investments, right? So as opposed to traditionally, where a traditional IRA or 401k could only invest in stocks and bonds and mutual funds, as an example, self-directed IRA and a solo 401k can invest in alternative investments such as real estate. So it's a great vehicle to invest in real estate. So that's why I bring it to your attention this evening, right? So a traditional IRA versus self-directed IRA, doing a compare and contrast. When it comes to a traditional IRA, of course, it's stocks, bonds, mutual funds, but a self-directed IRA could invest in private companies, metals, and real estate. The traditional IRA, it's managed by a financial institution, as opposed to a self-directed IRA, it's managed by an account holder or a custodian, right? In my case, I use Broad Financial. Some folks use self-directed IRA, and there's other vendors that help with that, right? They're just a conduit in order for you to do that, right? Custodian requirements. Custodian provides the investment options. Require specialized custodian that could do self-directed IRA, right? Emma, can you come on? Control over investments. You're limited to just the control custodian approved investments, like when you sit down with your provider, and you have greater control and flexibility, right? You could, like, as an example, today I sat down with someone who just switched into a self-directed IRA, and he's now able to control where his money goes. And what happens is, what he's going to end up doing is he'll probably lend in my deal, he'll make his money back plus interest, and he's able to put it back into his IRA, right? Fees or lower. Standard investment options could be higher depending on the investment, right? And complexity, straightforward, and more complex, but requires due diligence, right? So that's traditional versus self-directed IRA, right? So when it comes to the limits, the limits are the same, 6,500 under 50, 50 and over 7,500. Income limits, it phases out beginning at 68,000, and it's the same as a self-directed IRA. And the RMD, or required minimum distributions, is 73, right? So that's a little bit about that, right? So the steps, if you said, hey, Dr. B, I have a traditional IRA and I want to transfer it to a self-directed IRA, these are the specific steps. So you would open a self-directed IRA, you would choose a specific vendor or custodian in this case, you would complete the transfer forms, you would contact your old custodian and inform them about that, submit the transfer request, stop him. You would wait for the transfer to complete, and then you would confirm the transfer, and then allocate the funds after that, right? It's easier said than done, but these are the exact steps how to move your money from one IRA to the other, right? And as I said before, the advantage of a self-directed IRA is that you have greater control and flexibility of that checkbook in what you can invest in, specifically in metals and or real estate, which is why I brought it to your attention this evening, right? It's a little bit about that. So now, what's a solo 401k, right? So it's a type of retirement account designed for self-employed people with no full-time employees, right? So solo 401k comes in two varieties, traditional and Roth. Contributions are pre-tax unless you have a Roth. I don't have a Roth, I have a traditional. And then contributions are after tax, right? So again, traditional is, obviously pre-tax, and Roth is after tax, right? So it's a little bit about what a solo 401k is. And you could do a solo 401k if you're self-employed. So that's the difference between a self-directed IRA and a solo 401k. And we'll talk about that more in a little bit, but a self-directed IRA is, as an example, let's say, you go from one job to the other for whatever reason, you have your money stuck in a certain account, and let's say you wanted to start a second IRA, you could do that, right? A solo 401k, however, you have to be self-employed in order for you to open one up, right? So comparing the two when it comes to traditional versus solo 401k, eligibility is available to employees of a company. Solo 401k is available to self-employed individuals and small business owners with no employees other than the spouse. The contribution limits is 22,500 as of 24 from a traditional 401k versus a solo 401k, which is $66,000 combined employee and an employer, right? Or 73,000 if you're 50 or older. Administrative wise, is managed by employers with third-party administrators, self-managed by the individual, or some custodians. In this case, it'd be a custodian and you. The costs are higher due to employer administration, and it could be lower in this case because it's just you. There's many may offer loans to participants, may offer loans to participants here, and the RMD is the same at 73 years of age, right? So why, if you're, I think there's a couple of entrepreneurs here, right? So why even a solo 401k? It allows for a higher contribution limit compared to traditional IRAs, enabling more significant investment capital. It provides the ability to borrow up to 50K or 50% of the account balance. You can also lend most of it out. Tax advantages is you earnings on the real estate investment grow tax deferred or even tax free in the case of the Roth, enhancing compounding, right? As opposed to just sitting in your account. Offers flexibility to invest in a wide variety of real estate options, including real estate, land, and commercial. It allows you to have direct control and management of the investment itself aligned with specific goals, and you avoid the unrelated debt financing, commodity-fied tax on leveraged real estate, including returns. Right. So why solo 401k. So here are the steps to opening a. Oh, there's a lot of people here. So cool. Here's the steps to opening solo 401k. Right. So you ensure you meet the criteria, including being self-employed. You also choose a provider, whether it's research and select financial institution. You fill out the necessary application paperwork. You sign the documents and adopt the plan. You fund the account, and you select the account or deal, and that's it. Those are the steps to setting up a solo 401k. So it's a little bit about that, right? So what's holding you back? I am going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to share something with you guys. I am going to share, I have something that I want to share with you guys. I created, what I'm going to do is for everyone for being here tonight, my gift is I have FAQs that I think I sent to everybody, and if not, I'd be more than happy to send to you guys once it's done, right? So just give me a thumbs up in the chat. Just confirm that you can see this FAQs on the screen here. You see it? Kevin, do you see it? Ready? All right, good. Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate you, man. Good. All right, so I have more people than I thought. And yeah, let me see. Yes, gracias, gracias. Thank you, Freddie. Appreciate it. So I created this for you guys, FAQs for retirement plans for real estate. So this right here, here is the comparisons of a Roth versus a traditional. You guys have this free. What I'll do is once I stop recording or end today's webinar, this evening's webinar, what I'll do is everyone will get the recording, everyone will get the PowerPoint, and everyone will get this FAQ, which I think I sent already, right? So this is a traditional versus Roth. And then this is a side-by-side comparison of solo 401k and a self-directed IRA here. So I'm not gonna get in too much into that. So you can look into that. However, what I do is, I was on a webinar a couple of days ago, and I said, you know what? Let me address some of those as well, right? So a question that comes up commonly is, do I pay taxes on if I lend from a solo 401k or self-directed IRA? So you could, again, the loan is considered a taxable distribution. Is not considered taxable as long as it's repaid according to the terms and within 5 years. So big advantage for you there. You're in theory you could lend the money out, you could make the money plus interest, pay yourself back, and then you're good to go, right? So you could do that for the solo 401k. You can't really do that on the self-directed IRA. Actually, you could do that on the self-directed IRA. You just can't lend. You could have you could invest it on the deal. You just can't set it up as a loan, right? So that's the summary here of the solo 401k and the self-directed IRA. Another common question that you guys that I heard the other evening is the difference between the two, right? So this, I know it's very small here, but I'm not gonna really read everything here. But you can see the difference in the comparisons of both solo 401k and self-directed IRA. There's a big difference. There are limits, right, to both the IRA and the 401k. But what I remember is during the other webinar that I was a part of, they were getting confused with, is there a rollover limit? Is there a limit? So no, if you roll over your money, that's totally different than the actual limits per year, right? So just I want you to keep that in mind, all right? So as an example, let's say you've been working at an employer for 10 years, and let's say you have it in a 401k, and let's say you have 100k, 100,000, right? You could, roll that over into self-directed or a solo 401k, and you don't have to worry about aggregate limits and all that stuff, right? So just something to keep in mind, right? And I have that information here, and you'll have that information for free, right? And these are the contribution limits. So that's why I separated the two. And it's more advantageous if you open a solo 401k because the limits are higher, and of course the employer contribution limits are higher, and there's just more flexibility when it comes to that, right? And this is all here, right? The key differences between the solo 401k and the self-directed IRA, right? Another common question that I heard the other day and I'm addressing now is, can I open a solo 401k or self-directed IRA with the current employer's plan, right? And the answer for the most part is unfortunately no, right? But what you can do is, if you have a full-time job and let's say you had a side hustle, or let's say you had a separate entity like a EIN number, you can do it that way. It would have to be a separate account. Same thing with the self-directed IRA. It would have to be a separate account, but you can't use your existing monies into a new, into a solo 401k. You would have to get fired, or you have to like separate employment or terminate or quit, and then move that money over. Right? So I just wanted to give you that heads up. Okay. And then the last question is, if I want to lend for my solo 401k, what should be the first step? And this right here are the steps in order for you to, and I'm sure, number one, check your plan's provisions, check your eligibility, apply, repay, use the loan for real estate, and that's it, right? So basically, this right here is your cheat sheet or your FAQs in order for you to invest in that deal, right? So very excited. Hopefully you like it. I created it over the weekend and I had my VA clean it up. I hope you enjoyed that. All right, someone dropped off. Hopefully they come back. All right, so that's a little bit about that, right? Any questions so far? Pretty straightforward. Let's see. I have it set up as a webinar, so it's different from. Yes, go ahead. Freddie has a question. You can type it. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, you're talking about the limit. Mm-hmm. That's for the year. Yep, that is correct. Yes, for the year. Yes, between employer and the employee. Yep, you got it. Yep, you're welcome. No problem. No problem. Good. I'm gonna go back to the presentation now. So what's holding you back, right? So it could be lack of education. It could be lack of knowledge. It could be just that you're scared, right? So what's holding you back? So, I know, we all have our businesses or maybe working for someone, right? So you may be tired of that 9 to 5, living that check to check, living that rat race. So just be mindful of that, right? So who's to blame, right? It could be school, it could be a job, not enough wealth, this and that, right? And then maybe we're self-employed, but what we want to do is you want to make sure that you work for your money, right? That your money works for you, not that you work for your money, right? So that's who to blame, right? So why now? So I wanted to give you a quick stat, and I gave this stat before. Did you know that 90% of all millionaires are made from excuse me, uh, I'm a little under the weather, from investments, right? So it's a little bit about that, right? So why trust? Because I told you, as my story before, 20 years of experience in what I've done, 5 years of owning my own biz, and of course, be doing what I've been doing for the past year or so, right? Learning from Amy Majuri, learning from Mike Ely, and now in 2024, really putting stuff into action, right? So I was transparent last time 2 weeks ago. I've won some, lose some, right? I invested passively on a deal in Louisiana. I lost, unfortunately, a partner and a deal in Florida, and of course I walked away from a deal in Memphis as well, right? So that's why you should trust me, right? So hopefully, right? So how does it work? Pretty simple. simple process. Like let's say, I'm working on a deal in Southern Pines, and the way it would work is individuals would make 2.0 more equity multiplier, or basically double their money in 5 years. Or there's an opportunity to get your money back and then some. At the end of, even up to the end of year two, right? So that's how it would work. So basically, you park your money, relax, and let me do all the hard work, right? So that's how that would work, right? So as an example, these numbers are a little bit old, but the play is to an actual deal that I'm working on in North Carolina, right? So increase the rents to allow to get more vouchers. The whole thing is to grow the area in the southern side of Raleigh, North Carolina. So the play here is to double the money in 5 years, and while waiting to get paid, there is what's called 7% pref. So what that means is basically, um, whoever invests in the deal will get 7% preference in profit over others, right? And there's a possibility to refi at the end of year two as well. It's an amazing deal, and we're almost there. We're looking to fund this by the end of the month. Looking to close by the end of the month, at well early September, and looking to fund this by the end of the month. So that's a little bit. That's the deal that I'm helping raise capital for. And if interested in the executive summary or interested in investing, you could text Nevaeh or myself, 973-943-5650, or me, or just reach out to me as well, right? So it's a little bit about that. Alrighty. Cool. So it's very desirable when it comes to private lending, investment in security and real estate, high returns, predictable stream, no management costs, and no headaches about contractors. And then you let me do all the hard work, right? So there's other sources, right, of private money. There's a self-directed IRA. There's a 401k that I discussed today. There's also HELOC, lines of credit, life insurance, inheritance funds. There's also credit cards and stock, right, as an example, right? So there's just other sources of private money. I just mentioned that as well. So how can you get started? Very easy. If you're interested, just reach out to me. More than happy to have a nice 15-minute powwow and see what works for you, right? What are your goals? What are your dreams? And basically, my job is to make sure to help you get there, right? So especially for those that have money sitting there collecting dust, maybe you worked at an employer for a long time and haven't been able to roll over your money yet. Roll it over, man. Roll it over into a self-directed IRA or a solo 401k if you're eligible, and then invest in a deal. Why not? Why not? Put your money to work. Following the rules, guarantee no returns, and that's sec.gov for more info. So what do you have to lose? You have nothing to lose. Your option one, thank you for being on this evening. We lost somebody. Do absolutely nothing and stay exactly where you're at now. Number two, you can do it yourself. Good luck, DIY it. Or number three, you can let me do the heavy lifting for you, and I work with a team. As you know, I was just literally on another call before the webinar, and it was a great opportunity to do that, right? So with that being said, that's a little bit about that. You let me do the lifting for you, and that's it. That's what I have to this evening, right? So that's my 25 minutes, right? So any questions or thoughts? Any questions or thoughts on that? Did you enjoy it, Kevin, Freddie? I don't even know who else is on. Let's see. Hey, Gloria, how you doing? And Wanda, my two, good. My two dear buddies, Wanda and Gloria, are going to invest in that Southern Pine deal. So, hey, how you doing? Did you guys enjoy it? It was pretty straightforward, straight to the point. I didn't want to keep it there too long. I wanted just to be very informative of what a self-directed IRA is, solo 401k is, and then compare the questions, right? So compare and contrast between the two. So what I'll do is I'll make sure that everyone on this call, and I'll make sure that everyone, a lot of folks told me that they're going to watch the recording. So I'll make sure that everyone who registered will get the recording, will get my FAQs, and then we'll get the PowerPoint, right? So with that being said, no questions? I did it in under half an hour. Good. All right. Cool. Alrighty. So if there's no other questions, I'll give you your time back. And then Wanda and Gloria, my BFFs, thank you for supporting. And hopefully you learned a little bit about solo 401k and self-directed IRA as well. And yeah, and then I'll be in touch with everyone. And if I don't have any questions, I'll see you soon. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for jumping on. Thanks, man. Thank you. Thanks, Freddie. Appreciate it. Thank you. All right. Take care, everybody. Hey, Dr. B, I was a little under the weather when I recorded that. I'm still under the weather a little bit, but hopefully you were able to understand the difference between traditional IRA, Roth IRA, traditional 401k, solo 401k, and now you're able to empower your future and understand better strategies for solo 401k and also self-directed IRA. And in addition to that, hopefully, if you're interested in connecting, let's connect. Let's make this Monet together. Hopefully you enjoyed the podcast. Take care. Dr. B, out.